Hello everyone, and welcome back to Swim with the Whales. In Map 3, Swim with the Whales. This is attempt 179, and this one is the successful one. The first thing I want to do is get out of this starting area, but that's easier said than done. Most of my attempts die within the first, 4 minutes. And you're about to see why, if you haven't already begun to. This area right here, I want to blast 3 rockets into the Mancubi, and if it doesn't die, I'll use the chain gun. And then, hopefully the Hell Knights will not be, within the room by this point, so I can just hide here and plasma down these 2 pain elementals. Unfortunately, in this scenario, I ran out of plasma, so I'm going to have to use conventional weapons. Although I do usually kill the remaining lost souls after the pain elementals die with conventional weapons, such as these. The next thing I want to do is kill everything in this corridor. Well, sort of cave-like corridor. And that happens to include that chain gunner and any others that may be in that position, as well as this particular soul sphere and ammo, which is something that I need for later. This area is difficult to get in and out of. It's sort of random, as far as I can tell, whether or not you can get in and out quickly. You want to watch out for the Cyber Demon missiles, because they can sometimes hit you when you're not paying enough attention. Here's a little skip you can do. When you jump on top of that area, you can get the secrets, but you can also skip part of the map progression and get here early, which is exactly what I'm doing. Killing the Archviles first is usually a good suggestion, and in this case that also happens to be true. However, the other enemies, it's best if you get most of them to infight. I'll speed things up for you to make sure to waste less of your time. Some things I might want to mention. The palette change was actually designed for this particular map, so it's more likely to look good in this map than any of the other maps. Or at least what I consider to look good. After all of those guys are dead, you want to use this cover to kill these Archviles. For some reason, the Archviles on those pillars are prone to dying early, such as 3 rockets, which it doesn't happen all the time, but it happens more often than you'd expect. I want this mega armor, so I can get into this area with less risk. Kill the Mancubi first. And afterwards, you can kill all of these imps. Next, you want these chain gunners to die, and I usually go for the Cacodemon first so that it doesn't try and raise itself super high and become incredibly annoying. Now that you've killed all of these enemies, you can proceed on to the next thing, which happens to be one of the points in the map where you die, usually. Although I'd say it's about 50-50 depending on how competent you are. Your goal here is to kill the Archviles, above all else. There's 3 of them, and all of them are a threat. Even one on its own can be quite a problem. But luckily for me, they all decided to come out and play. Of course, this sort of play usually results in a brutal demise, and that's exactly what happened here, to our benefit. This Mankibai up here, it needs to die, and so it will. This will make it easier to traverse that upward area when you teleport it right now. And get yet another secret. Now comes the most infamous fight of this map, besides perhaps the finale. Welcome to Hell. You've got 4 cyber demons closing in this small area. Honestly, I didn't find this place to be like as formidable as you would expect. It's just that my strategy for it is a bit odd. Usually I want to get one of these guys dead like that, and then stay around in this arena longer than it takes for that switch to lower. However, this time I was feeling like things weren't going to go well, so I decided to exit when the switch actually gets there. This entire map is pretty enjoyable for me, actually. I may have played parts of it 179 times. However, this is one of the more amiable experiences I've had with Doom recently. There's only one change I'd make to this map, if I was going to do so. I guess 2, but if I were to only be able to make one change to this map, it would not be this fight specifically. It would be pretty much all these guys around the edge, because they do not get crushed, and that's quite irritating to deal with them after the fight is over. I wouldn't change the amount of cyber demons though, probably. But I would make all those guys get crushed and balance the ammo accordingly. Here's another secret area. What you want to do here is kill the sniper Mankibai, and then clear out one of these wings so that you can have a space for yourself to lie in wait and kill everything from. You usually want to conserve rockets here. However, it doesn't really matter unless you want to use those rockets in order to kill all of the just annoying enemies on ledges later. However, this fight is not too difficult. I don't think I've ever died here. I've died in other places, but I haven't died here. Although, something that you might find interesting is that only 2 of my 179 attempts actually made it past the quad Cyberdemon fight. However, one of those attempts won, so it's all good. Hitting that switch causes a 25-second timer, and once that 25 seconds is up, a bunch of Archviles will get released. I'll speed things up so you don't have to wait. Here are the Archviles. I like just BFGing them down. Although, if you've got a bunch of rockets to spare, you can do it with rockets instead, and probably take less damage. Here's your BFG 2-shot practice. Unfortunately, I did not do it properly this time, so I had to SSG it down a bit. And now here's the most irritating part of this map, and honestly, pretty much the only super irritating part, I would say. It takes quite a while to kill all these guys. So I'm not going to waste your time. Now that that annoyance has been dealt with, it's time to move on to the rest of the map. What we have here are some enemies that need to die, and after they die, you can enter this building. I pre-fire here so that I don't have to deal with these revenants too much. And then I kill these 2 chain gunners, which can be a nuisance if not properly dealt with. These Hell Knights guard a switch which I would like to hit because it releases an enemy which I would like to kill. Can you guess what type of enemy that is? I'm sure you can, considering this is a Rubik's map. So feel free to guess. Well, it looks like if you guessed Archvile, you would be correct. So, hopefully you guessed that, I suppose. Now moving back to the beginning sections a bit. Here's the rocket launcher, and here's a secret. Down here is one of 2 wings which open up. The central wing. And the central ring brings you back to where I just was before. You can pre-fire when using the skip that I used for this map. And that pretty much ends this fight before it starts. That switch raises that lift and allows you to get up here. It is in my best interest to kill this guy, so that it doesn't irritate me, or kill me, or pretty much do anything to me, other than look nice when it dies. Using the BFG here can clear out all of these enemies without much trouble. However, the Revenants are more of an issue. You've got to be a bit careful when dealing with them, although some of them you can bottleneck using this wall. And now I'm back to the beginning of the map. When I ran through here quickly, I left a bunch of enemies alive. It's time for them to die. Unfortunately, one of the chain gunners got left alive though, which means that it can hit me from pretty much anywhere, unless I'm behind a wall. Those archviles in the center can be annoying. Just watch out for them and they shouldn't be too much of an issue. There's an arena down here which I skipped before. I handled it rather poorly this time. I'm sure you could do better if you were doing it yourself and had the benefit of being able to try it over and over again. These lost souls were rather annoying here because they kept just freaking dodging, wasting health. That's a problem. This isn't a map you want to waste health in. It's not one where you can waste too much health. However, in practice, I could usually save a soul sphere and a megasphere. Don't kill this archvile. You can telefrag it when exiting this area, so you can save ammo by not. Here's another area which I handled rather poorly by wasting BFG shots. Should have been more patient. Usually that archvile dies from that attack, but this time that is not the case. So I had to use a secondary BFG shot to clear it out. That secondary BFG shot had the benefit of also killing the mancubi, which isn't always a good thing for infighting. Because of that, I now need to kill all these barons myself, which is exactly what I'm going to do. But it will take a while, so I'm going to, yet again, speed things up. The switch activates the way out, and there you go, telefragging that archvile. Next we have the center path, but first I'm going to deal with a small secret which happens to give me berserk. As you see, you can shoot the cyber demon's missiles through these gaps in the battlement. The battlement, not batterment. It's not a battering ram. Sometimes it can take some time though to get them. And after everything's out of the way, you can usually kill both archviles. But not this time. So I have to take care of things in a more chaotic manner. I like getting these revenants and mancubi to infights, but it looks like I damaged the mancubi, so it's going to just try to kill me. Now only the revenants are left. And I like getting them to infight with the Cyber Demon by doing this. Now all that's left are the chain guns of the deceased corpses. Although in this map, all ammo can be useful depending on where you use it and when you use it, so it's best to take all of it. As proven here, because you can use all of those chain guns to kill this with a chain gun. Couple specters teleport in, but since I've lowered this staircase, they can't actually move. And that makes them easy to kill. Now it's time for this secret. I found that if you jump down, you can take less damage than if you just walk through from ground level. The Cyber Demon has managed to start infighting with the Revenants, which works out in my favor, of course. That usually doesn't happen, but if it does, then you might as well leave them to it. Saves ammo, doesn't it? Something you'll notice in this run if you've played this map yourself is that I don't do a good job of saving plasma ammo in this map. I don't have as much as I would like by the end. I'd like to go into the final fight with full, but I do not. You'll see how much I have when we get there. It is at this point that I realized I had forgotten something. The black key, which is necessary in order to do something very useful. Although unfortunately, I don't really do a good job of this either. It takes me a while to get the black key, because I do a terrible job at a jump that I had practiced for quite a bit, actually. The reason that I'm not doing very good on this jump is very simple. A few days prior, I had accidentally deleted all of my save states so I could no longer practice without just like playing through the map, and I couldn't be bothered to do that. It had also been quite a few days since I had last played the map, so that explains this stuff. When you stand on the very back of that like little area that I was in, you can fire BFG without alerting enemies because of a sound blocking line def. and that makes this fight a whole lot easier. Now it's time for this meddling cyberdemon to die. When you jump down over here, you can hit this switch with the black key, which allows you to telefrag it. And then you can also get up here without doing the platforming. The platforming is fairly difficult, so it's in your best interest not to have to do it. Five pain elementals get spawned in here. It's quite a lot. I expect that it was probably inspired by Sunder Map 5's incessant use of them. However, they're nowhere near as incessant as those ones here, because of a couple reasons. 1, you have the BFG. 2, you have cover. And 3, most important, it's unlikely that they're going to fly backward forever, like they do in that map. For these Lost Souls, I usually just try a slow circle strafe, as I'm doing now, in order to not get hit by any of them. No need to waste health. This is something I've noticed that nobody actually does, which is pre-fire multiple BFG shots for this encounter. I'm not sure why that is. I've never actually died in this fight during attempts, and I attribute that partially to this strategy that I came up with. However, there's a bunch of archviles behind those revenants, so you can't just rocket them down. I shoot one rocket at them each in order to damage them a bit so that they'll be easier to kill once they are brought down. Because when you walk forward in this little area, like towards where the cyberdemons were, that's when they come in. They get lowered. Here's another thing that I would change. I would make it so that when you walk back and all the revenants get lowered, the archviles get crushed, because that way the player doesn't have to kill them themselves. Of course, I'd have to remove some rockets for that. Something I found about this fight, which I saw no one else doing, is if you just stand in the corner like this, on this side, possibly the other side, but I found that this side was more consistent for me, you can sort of just kill everything pretty easily. It like bottlenecks them. However, eventually things will get out of hand, but it takes a lot longer than if you just do it normally. I'm just waiting here to see if any more enemies teleport in. And since they didn't, it's time for me to get the most annoying secret of the map. This is where my only other attempt that made it past hell, the quad cyberdemon fight, died. I fell off there. And it's a shame because that attempt was actually pretty good. Here's the dark blue key switch, in this case the dark red key switch. And here is the final fight of the island area. It's very easy. Incredibly easy, in fact. At least compared to what's come before. When you walk over here, the 4 archviles from the start, I'm pretty sure that's what they are. Although they might also just be archviles that get teleported over here. But I'm pretty sure these are the 4 archviles from the start. They all come over here, and you get to kill them. Just don't screw up, because that would be very unfortunate. Now that they're dead, I'm just going to backtrack through the map to get any possible ammo I can. Most importantly, for the BFG. However, that is the only ammo I find, so I'm going to, yet again, speed this up for you. And now for the finale. This was actually my first time getting to the finale, so I'm pretty pleased that it was the one to win. You want to BFG down those pain elementals, kill some chain gunners, kill these 2 revenants specifically, because that area will be needed later. Although not very much later. It won't take a long time for you to need that area, because it has a particular utility. Now I like hitting that switch pretty early on so that I can trigger both phases of the fight at once, causing a large amount of infighting. And this area that I spoke about is your one safe haven in this map from everything but lost souls. This is the only area in the final fights where you can just sort of stick around. Although you have to fend off lost souls. Unfortunately, I took a bunch of damage early on. So that means that all of this health that I have now, this is all the health I'm going to get for the entire rest of the map. While this fight is very difficult, I'd say it's probably my favorite fight of the entire map. There's a good chance that in Aberration, I'm going to take great inspiration from this fight for something. Probably in map 5. So, I guess if you're a challenge seeker, you might look forward to that. Although at the moment, I'm trying to get everything to infight. Everything must die. And anything that doesn't is a threat that must be exterminated. I guess something that I haven't mentioned the entire time is what that number in the top right of the screen is. That is the frames per second, which I added after updating my DSDA Doom. So, now you know. My goal with this sort of attack mission is to kill sniper enemies and kill this archvile. However, that archvile is probably the most difficult archvile to kill in the map, because it's not in a good position to shoot at. Something unusual happened in this run, that being the survival of that archvile, which I just killed. Usually it doesn't survive that long. Usually it gets killed by something else. I'm not sure what kills it, but usually it dies. Also, there goes a bunch of my health. Now I'm just down to 60 health for the rest of the map. And as you'll see, things can get worse than that because of these damn lost souls. Having pulled everything away from that switch by standing in the safe area, you can hit the switch. And that switch unleashes the final enemies of the map. An archvile quad. Once again, you can use this area to your advantage. I only alerted one of them, but I'm going to go back and alert the rest, so that the cyber demons can infight them to death. My biggest concern at this point is fending off any lost souls that come from that side. The Lost Soul Fountain will release around 200 of them, I believe. And I want them to leave me alone. Once the kill count shows 532 of 538, then you know that the only thing left is the cyber demons. Because there are 6 of them. And when that's the truth that you have to deal with, then you can just start killing them. Where the archviles came from, that is where you can kill them from. There's a bunch of cell packs there which you want to grab and then run about. I hit this switch beforehand so that I don't have to wait for it later. And now that I have all these cells, it's time to put them to use. Although, I most certainly could have put them to better use than I did here. I'm being cautious. I mean, I'm 44 minutes into a run on one of the hardest maps I've ever done. At the end fight. Can you blame me? Just trying to chip away at the cyber demons at the moment, as well as lure them into a position in which I can grab the 2 last cell packs safely. That lost soul almost gave me some issues. Now it's time for the final remaining cyber demons to fall. Although it won't be with the BFG that I killed the last one, because yet again I run out of ammo. However, that is it. Everything is dead and all the secrets are found. So all I have to do is wait for the elevator. And there you have it. Swim with the whales, UVMaxed in 45 minutes and 59 seconds. I must say that I very much enjoyed this map, even after dying 178 times to it. So if you're in the mood, I would suggest playing it. Now, after this map, I'm going to be doing Stardate Map 31, and then Swim with the Whales Map 31. And after that, there's a couple possibilities. One of the things that I was thinking about doing was playing Judgment by Razik. Or I can go on to Stardate 20x7, Magnolia, and FCFF. So, tell me your opinion on it, or if you have a different map set you'd like me to potentially play. Anyways, that's about it for today. I hope you all have a good day, and goodbye.